Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Next at 6, a shooting on Western Boulevard near NC State. We look into the area that's seen several shootings in the past year. Plus, a man faces charges for jumping the fence at a high school football game with a gun. The details revealed about the incident in an arrest warrant.
And I'm tracking some showers moving through Wake County, but this is our last bit of rain before the cold front passes. I'll let you know when that'll happen coming up.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Julian Grace. Tonight, police are once again searching for a shooting suspect after a man was rushed to the hospital from a popular fast food restaurant just off of NC State's campus. Very scary moments, right? Well, this is just the latest shooting on a block of Western Boulevard that's seen plenty of gun violence in just the past year. WRAL's Eric Miller breaks it all down.
The shooting didn't just send a man to the hospital. It also left some pretty significant property damage out here along Western. Just take a look at this. This fence absolutely smashed to pieces and a white bumper left behind. Raleigh police still working to confirm whether that was part of the getaway car that witnesses saw leaving this scene. The call came in just after 3 a.m.
They're transporting someone already to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds.
Broadcastify radio traffic revealing the moments after the shooting as first responders sort through the damage on Western Boulevard.
Police are on scene secure.
Roughly a dozen Raleigh police officers were on scene Saturday for hours, surrounding both the McDonald's and Wendy's parking lots with crime scene tape. It's not clear what led up to the shooting, but Raleigh police say at least one man was seriously injured and had to be rushed to the hospital. The shooting, directly across the street from NC State's Wolf Village Apartments, also prompted this wolf alert from campus police, warning that a suspect was spotted driving a white crossover vehicle away from campus.
It just seems like there's a big problem with guns here in our country.
Lamar Lamartiere runs Lamar Homes Roofing with offices right next door to the scene. Their office, recently flooded during severe weather in July, was unscathed, but the fence in their front yard was flattened. The shooting concerning to both Lamartiere and his father.
He was very worried, especially about the area.
This stretch of Western Boulevard has seen a series of high-profile incidents over the past year. At least 7 people have been shot within a 1-block radius of this scene since September of 2023. That includes 22-year-old Joris Cooper, shot to death just a block away in May, and 2 people shot at the Bojangles right next door in December.
It's kind of the norm, and it's sickening to see, but it's normal.
In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
We have more. Raleigh police also responded to a man with gunshot wounds at an apartment on Westville Court. Now, police are working to determine if the two scenes are somehow connected. More fall temperatures are on the way, but first we still have the chance for a shower. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. And Kat, how are things looking for the evening?
Just a couple of spotty showers. They're going to move through quick. No need to cancel any of your outdoor plans. There's no lightning in any of this rain. It's just blowing on through rather quickly and moving out of Raleigh, out of Garner right now. A few showers left up toward Zebulon as well as Wendell. And these showers are going to be pushing toward Johnston County. So it's a broken line of rain. Rayford's seeing some of that rain, and we'll probably see a little bit of rain moving closer to Broadway soon. But dinner forecast doesn't look all that bad. After 8 o'clock will be dry tonight, just those quick sprinkles that pass through. I was out in one earlier. I mean, you might even still be able to eat outside. It's not going to have a big impact on your evening. And then temperatures begin to fall. Once the cold front passes, we get our nice northwest wind in. But we're also tracking a tropical system that could become Francine, and I'll have more on that and potential U.S. impacts coming up.
All right, thank you, Kat. Well, students and parents are still talking about this headline right here. A Youngsville man faces charges for jumping the fence at a high school football game with a gun. It happened at the Roseville High School football game last night. WRAL's Monica Casey has been looking into this case. And Monica, that suspect is now out on bond.
That's right. 42-year-old Ernest Kennedy is charged with possession of a firearm on school property. This happened right here behind me at Roseville High School. You can see the bleachers surrounding the football field right there. The arrest warrant for Kennedy says he had a semi-automatic pistol. According to the principal here, a parent actually witnessed Kennedy jump the fence and then reported to officials that he had a gun. That principal told families there isn't any evidence Kennedy intended to use the firearm at the game. The town town of Rolesville tells WRAL officers found Kennedy quickly after that report, and he was taken into custody without incident. Kennedy is now permanently banned from school property here. His next court date is set for October 1st. Live in Wake County, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Wow. Well, at least one person was shot at a bar in Johnston County. This was the scene from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker at the Big Times Bar and Grill on North Wall Street in Benson. Now, according to Broadcastify Audio, a woman called the police saying her husband had been shot after an argument. Benson police tell us the victim was taken to Wake Med for treatment. No word yet on whether anyone was arrested for the shooting. A biker died during a chase with Wayne County deputies on Highway 70 late last night. The sheriff's office says deputies tried stopping two motorcycles for speeding and not showing a license plate. When the motorcyclists didn't stop, the sheriff's office says deputies started a chase. One of the bikers, identified by State Highway Patrol, was 19-year-old Bradley Gill. He ran off the highway and hit a tree and died. The sheriff's office says deputies stopped the chase shortly after crossing into Johnston County. The State Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. Family and friends of Haley Barber gathered today to remember her. The 29-year-old was shot and killed by her boyfriend at a home in Wilson last weekend. 38-year-old Arnold Leo Farrell, shown right here, was arrested and is charged with murder. His next court appearance is scheduled for September 17th. Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and Minnesota First Lady Gwen Walz are headed to Raleigh on Monday. The visit is part of the Harris-Walz Reproductive Freedom National Bus Tour. They plan to talk about the impacts of the Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade, as well as the Harris-Walz campaign's commitment to protect reproductive rights. The Second Gentleman and First Lady of Minnesota, are also making a stop in Asheville tomorrow. Next week, Harris and Trump will meet on the presidential debate stage for the very first time. You can watch it right here on WRAL. It's set for Tuesday night. Coverage starts at 8 o'clock. The State Department of Justice is warning North Carolinians of scammers impersonating the state's Commissioner of Agriculture. They say scammers are pretending to be Commissioner Steve Troxler on social media and peer-to-peer payment services like Venmo. They say state government officials will never contact you to threaten you, request or demand money or personal information, or threaten arrest, especially not over social media. If you or someone you know has been the victim of an imposter scam, report it to the NC DOJ's Consumer Protection Division. They want to hear from you. This coming Wednesday marks 23 years since the September 11th terrorist attacks, and there were several events today to pay respects to the victims, especially to the first responders who died saving lives. The Travis Minion Foundation hosted the Raleigh 9/11 Heroes Run race today in Holly Springs. This is one of 90 national runs sponsored by that foundation. Participants ran and walked to honor the fallen and carry on the legacies of character, leadership, and service that they left behind. An event in Raleigh this morning honored the selfless first responders who rushed into the Twin Towers on 9/11. Runners flocked to the Wells Fargo Tower building on Fayetteville Street for the first ever tower climb, benefiting the Tunnel to Towers foundations. Now, participants climbed up to 110 flights of stairs, the same as first responders who climbed the towers.
This year, we had the opportunity from High Woods to use the Wells Fargo building downtown Raleigh, which is the fourth tallest building downtown, to use their stairwell. So now it's an official tower climb, not just a stair climb. Being a tower climb, it is the first ever tower climb to be held in Raleigh, North Carolina. The closest one is Charlotte, so this is a first for Raleigh. So everybody that's here is making part of history today.
History was made today. Now, the Tunnel of Towers Foundation helps pay off mortgages for fallen military and first responders who were killed in the line of duty. The foundation also builds custom smart homes for wounded service members and first responders and helps find housing for homeless veterans. Back the Blue NC honored fallen law enforcement officers in Wake County at their 5K honor run this morning. The nonprofit organization supports the children and families of those fallen officers. Today's run took place at the Raleigh Police Department driving track. A big crowd came to downtown Goldsboro this afternoon to celebrate NC Freedom Fest. The free event was to show appreciation for our military personnel and first responders. The street festival featured vendors, displays, a car show, a bike show, and children activities as well. All right, there's much more to talk about. A $1.2 million renovation to a historical landmark in Durham is now complete. We're sharing the story of Polly Murray and the work to make her childhood home the center of education. Plus, we're taking a live look at City Plaza on Fayetteville Street, where day 3 of Hopscotch Music Festival is underway. We'll get that video to you in just a little bit. Coming up, we show you one of the free events happening around the city. Welcome back. A ceremony was held in Roseville today, unveiling a new historical marker. The marker at Main Street Park is dedicated to George Taylor, an African-American man who was lynched 2 miles southeast of Roseville in 1918. His death is one of the only documented lynchings to happen in Wake County. The historical marker comes after years of work by the Wake County Community Remembrance Coalition. Researchers who looked into Taylor's death and pushed for the marker spoke at today's ceremony.
So today we're taking the past, our history, and putting it at the forefront and challenging those here today to do better, to be better, and for the town of Roseville to fight against what racism looks like.
A marker so we never forget. Now, more than 100 people, including 25 descendants of Taylor, attended today's ceremony. A grand opening 15 years in the making, happening today right in Durham. The newly renovated Polly Murray Center for History and Social Justice opened its doors after a $1.2 million renovation. The home was built in 1898. This became a National Historic Landmarker in 2016. Now, Polly Murray was a 20th century human rights activist, legal scholar, feminist, author, poet, Episcopal priest, labor organizer, and multiracial Black LGBTQ member.
People can enter this home where they will learn about the life, legacy, work, and ancestry of Reverend Dr. Polly Murray through a historical exhibit called Polly Murray Coming Home. People will also be able to engage in an abundance of programs here at the center, from our monthly book club to annual events like the Polly Murray Birthday Celebration.
As of today, the Polly Murray Center for History is publicly open for tours. You can learn more at pollymurraycenter.com. It's the last day of the Hopscotch Music Festival in downtown Raleigh. This is a live look at City Plaza on Fayetteville Street right there. Now, that's Indigo de Sousa on stage right now. The music festival wasn't just limited to downtown, though. School Kids Records on Avon Ferry Road hosted a day party featuring several performances with free admission and no wristbands required.
Music is sort of the central part of that. It's universal language, and it's something that everybody feels something from, and it's important that the community has that, because if you don't have art and music, then it's quite dull.
School Kids Records, isn't that just such a cool name? Now, again, it's the last day of Hopscotch. There are several showings happening around Raleigh into the evening. Well, nobody won the growing jackpot in last night's Mega Millions drawing. That takes the lump sum up to $800 million with a cash out value of more than $401 million. The next drawing is on Tuesday night. You can watch that live on WRAL at 11 p.m. Let's talk about a little baseball happening right here in just a little bit. The Home Run Derby X takes over the Durham Bulls Athletic Park in just less than about an hour or so. It's a 3-on-3 co-ed competition featuring 4 teams. Now, each team has a former Major League Baseball player, a female player, and a local guy just off the streets. A single game takes about 30 minutes. Now, each player gets one at-bat of 2.5 minutes. During an at-bat, the opposing team is in the outfield to catch the ball. The teams earn offensive points for home runs and defensive points for catches. At the end of the game, the team with the most points wins. The gates open at 5:30 and the games start at 7. All All right, let's get to Kat. Kat, you are watching something very closely in the tropics right now.
I am, Julian. So in the southern Gulf of Mexico, this is the Bay of Campeche. There's some thunderstorm development coming together down here, and this is going to be the next potential tropical system to watch. The National Hurricane Center now giving it a high 70% chance of developing. We have two other systems we'll watch. This one, most of the models keep out to sea, and not all of them develop it in the first place. So let's focus in on the Gulf. This is now an invest system. That means we have model plots available for it and going all the way out through Friday evening. The bulk of these models are carrying it a bit closer to Texas, Louisiana, and when I was looking deeper at the intensity on the models, it looks like it could become a tropical storm. If it does, it would be Francine. But for us here at home, we'll have to keep an eye on this for potential remnant moisture or rainfall by next weekend. We're still a week out, so stay tuned for updates throughout the week. But the bottom line is the Gulf Coast could see quite a bit of rain. Even if this never develops into anything at all, it's going to bring a lot of tropical moisture that way for us over the next 7 days. Pretty minimal on the rainfall totals, but of course, if something tropical holds together, we'll see that change. So check in for updates. Tonight, we've got a few showers moving through as the last of this cold front passes. Our low pressure system well offshore and behind the cold front. Boy, it's going to be beautiful. We get these crisp mornings, nice warm afternoons. We'll be in the 50s in the morning, even 53 Monday morning, but during the afternoons, we'll be in the 80s each day. So it's really not going to be too cool. Make sure that you dress in layers, though. Few showers passing through into Johnston County right now. Not much around Clayton. We're watching some showers that are moving through Nash County as well. Those are going to be headed for the Rocky Mount area, at least on the south side of town, and a few sprinkles down in the Sandhills. But we're seeing improvements across Wake County. North Hills looking pretty nice compared to what it was looking like earlier. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth shared this WRAL Weather Watcher photo with us from the WRAL soccer park. Looks pretty gloomy, but if you look really closely, there's a rainbow visible right in here. So pretty cool sights out there tonight. Fresh air tomorrow is going to be the way to go. It's just going to be one of those days where you want to spend as much time outside as possible. Upper 50s first thing in the morning, but most of the morning hours will be in the 60s. We're in the low 70s at lunchtime, and the high tomorrow just 76 degrees. So it's really feeling like fall again. And in the mornings, it'll feel like fall the next couple of days, but the afternoons will get pretty warm, especially that 86 on Wednesday. By the end of next week, I've got rain chances in, and that'll depend on that tropical system. But right now, they're at about 30%, Julian.
All right, thank you, Kat. Pat is with us. Pat, let's talk more football. I can't stop talking about football.
Oh, and everybody wants to talk about this game, right? It's the game of the week, maybe the game of the year for NC State. We're going to go live to Charlotte to set the stage next. And UNC playing its home opener while the Tar Heels were doing their best survive and advance. Next. KC Concepcion inside Bank of America Stadium. A Panthers fan can dream, right? The Dukes Mayo Classic just an hour away. NC State, Tennessee, the game of the week, maybe the game of the year for the Wolfpack. You want to make the playoff, you win games like this. Chris Lee and Luis Fernandez set the stage from Charlotte.
Louis, we have a big one tonight. Bank of America Stadium right here in Charlotte, NC State versus Tennessee. The very first football game that NC State ever played was actually against Tennessee. It was in 1893, and the school wasn't even known as NC State back then. By the way, the A&M Farmers beat the Volunteers 12-6.
Let's go ahead and fast forward to the 21st century where people like to score points in football. Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback for Tennessee, he has started 2 games for the Vols, and in those 2 games, Tennessee averages 52 points. So expect a lot of touchdowns tonight. You might hear Rocky Top a few times, but head coach Dave Doran says, hey, don't forget about the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I think we had 19 explosive plays in the game, and it would have been above 20, which I don't think we've ever had that, so he was behind KC on an over route. He missed Keenan on a post, and we had a touchdown called back that was an explosive, so it's great to see. And that's what I was hoping we would see, because we've added skill to the offense in every position. So there's guys that can do things after the catch. It's one thing to, run the football or throw a completion. It's another when the guy turns those plays into explosives because he doesn't get tackled by the first player, and that's something we've put a lot of effort into.
And of course, the Pack went shopping in the transfer portal and collected some offensive weapons this season. It came in handy last week versus Western Carolina, but against the 14th ranked team in the nation tonight, it'll be the true test.
And we have to remember that whoever wins this game really sets up a good, clear path on a way to get to the 12-team college football playoff. Game starts at 7:30 for Chris Lee. I'm Luis Fernandez reporting from Charlotte.
All right, now to UNC. Mac Brown told us we'd see two quarterbacks this season. You just hate to see it like this. Max Johnson done for the year. So enter Connor Harrell, the redshirt sophomore, making his first home start versus Charlotte today. And injuries, the story for the first half. Cayman Rucker, a surprise scratch, out a couple weeks with a lower body injury. Amarian Hampton injured in the first half. So we're two starting offensive linemen. The offense, though, or what was left of it, did look good. Connor Harrell to Bryson Nesbitt. Didn't get to say his name much last week. 7-0 UNC. And then UNC getting a little bit tricky, going with the reverse to Nate McCollum. UNC currently up 31-13 right now, late in the third quarter. And a lot of local ties on the Charlotte roster and coaching staff. Linebackers coach Greer Martini is a former Notre Dame captain and Cary native. He beat UNC as a player here in 2019. He got his coaching start under Brian Kelly at LSU. Then after a stop at Vanderbilt, Charlotte was the perfect next step.
I think that it was the opportunity that Charlotte presented. It was my chance to get my own room. But also I think that, being in North Carolina, we had talked about it, just having a family in this area, also have a lending hand to be able to get in the car, go hour 45 away is amazing for me and my wife. And so I think that, it was the perfect storm. Not only did I get the opportunity to coach my own room, but it was also in my home state.
I try to get some Brian Kelly stories out of him. And Julian, he's a young coach, but he's polished already. He wouldn't give me any drama.
Not happening. He said, you're not going to get me jammed up. I don't blame him.
He knows the game.
All right, thanks, Pat. And thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you a little bit later. Have a great night.